This is something that happened well over 10 years ago. It's already been dealt with criminally. And I don't think...
Lady Colin Campbell has always been the kind of woman who speaks her mind without a care in the world. But this time, her words landed like a dagger straight into Meghan Markle's carefully polished image. In her latest ruthless takedown, Lady C didn't just criticize Meghan, she branded her a bulldozer. And no, she wasn't praising her as some fearless trailblazer. She meant it literally. Meghan bulldozes everything. People, traditions, reputations, even her own husband. And honestly, that remark hit like wildfire in royal gossip circles because it captured exactly what so many people have been whispering for years. Meghan doesn't plant seeds and nurture growth. She leaves behind ruins. You can practically trace the wreckage in her path. Harry's shattered public image, Netflix disasters, brand collapses. And instead of pausing, instead of learning, Meghan storms forward, raging at critics, convinced the world just doesn't get her.
Responsibility, not his. Their responsibility to provide the evidence and to make sure that their plan does.
Lady C's bulldozer comment shook Meghan's fragile empire because it revealed something raw. Meghan isn't only tearing down the monarchy's traditions, she's bulldozing her own legacy. And at the center of it all, Prince Harry, once celebrated as Diana's spirited boy, a decorated soldier, and the founder of Invictus Games, he now looks like Meghan's shadow. His words echo hers, his choices mirror hers, his scandals, all tied to hers. Lady C was brutal, Meghan bulldozed Harry's dignity. And isn't that the saddest thing? Watching a once respected prince, once adored around the globe, now dragged from one humiliation to another, unable or unwilling to escape.
Thing that comes up is supposed to be, as a part of the discovery process, is supposed to be handed over. So, I mean, Harry...
Then came what was supposed to be Meghan's crown jewel. With Love, Meghan Season 2. She wanted it to be her grand victory lap, a glossy Netflix lifestyle series dripping with warmth, glamour, and authenticity. But the reality? Oh, it was a train wreck. Critics ripped it apart, calling it shallow, boring, and painfully self-indulgent. Ratings tanked after just one episode. Viewers weren't enchanted, they were yawning. And yet Meghan, in true Meghan fashion, refused to accept the truth. She told friends the bad reviews were nothing but jealousy, that people secretly loved the show but just wouldn't admit it. Delusional? Absolutely. It was the bulldozer mentality at its finest. Plow ahead, even if the whole thing is collapsing behind you.
Just between him and the ghostwriter of Spare, even though the legal action had already been launched at that time, Lady C, and he had been told to preserve all of the evidence.
And the collapse didn't stop at Netflix. Meghan's much-hyped As Ever brand, meant to ride the coattails of her series, was supposed to be her Goop moment, her Gwyneth Paltrow-style empire, but instead, a total humiliation. Products sat unsold. Critics mocked it as tacky, overpriced, and hopelessly out of touch. What was once branded As Ever quickly became known as the As Never brand. Instead of elevating Meghan, it bulldozed whatever shred of credibility she had as a businesswoman. And as if that weren't enough, her Shop My Influencer project, it vanished. Poof! Without explanation. The timing was awful. Just as she needed momentum, another one of her projects collapsed. Critics said it wasn't a coincidence. Meghan bulldozed herself again, chasing too many ventures, failing to deliver, leaving behind nothing but flop after flop. Lady C's bulldozer remark also threw a glaring spotlight on Meghan's hypocrisy. Think about it. On one hand, Meghan mocks her critics, rolling her eyes and branding them obsessed fans. Yet on the other, she builds her entire empire on tearing down the very monarchy she claims to have escaped. Every interview, every tell-all deal, every Netflix special, rooted in her royal connection. Without the monarchy she bulldozed, Meghan doesn't even have a brand, but she keeps digging at the only thing that keeps her relevant. And Lady Colin Campbell didn't just toss out an insult, she nailed it. Meghan bulldozes everything. Harry's dignity, her projects, her As Ever brand, even her Shop My Venture. And poor Harry, once the proud prince admired across the globe, now looks like collateral damage in Meghan's endless chase for attention. What makes it even more tragic? Meghan doesn't see the rubble she leaves behind. She sees critics as secret fans. To her, failure is proof of jealousy. But to the rest of the world, Lady C's words cut through the noise. Meghan isn't a builder, she's a bulldozer. And the evidence? Oh, it's everywhere. Meghan doesn't just flatten reputations, she bulldozes reality itself. Her latest defense? Claiming critics are actually her biggest admirers in disguise. That line alone became one of the most delusional excuses in royal commentary history. Instead of facing her failures, she twists humiliation into some twisted proof of fascination. But the public isn't buying it anymore. Not when the Netflix ratings speak for themselves. Not when her influencer projects vanish without a trace. The bulldozer's trail is crystal clear: destruction, denial, and pure delusion. In interviews tied to With Love, Meghan Season 2, she actually doubled down, insisting mockery was just hidden admiration. But critics ripped that logic apart online. They said only someone desperate to dodge reality would blur ridicule with respect. Instead of slowing down, instead of reassessing, Meghan kept bulldozing ahead, pretending the wreckage was actually success. But here's the cruel twist. What's worse than hate? Indifference. And that's exactly where Meghan finds herself now. Once, she could dominate headlines with a whisper. Now, the American media barely bats an eye. The outrage has faded, replaced with something far deadlier: boredom. And boredom kills celebrity empires faster than scandal ever could. And while Meghan bulldozes forward, Harry's silence grows heavier. Observers can't help but notice his absence from her promotional stunts. Insiders whisper he knows every flop pulls him deeper into ridicule. He's no longer Diana's brave son. He's Meghan's +1, a man who swapped a crown for chaos. But staying silent doesn't save him. It makes him look complicit, like part of the bulldozer machine itself. Lady C's words crystallized what's been said in hushed tones for years. Meghan's empire isn't built on creation, it's built on destruction. Spotify collapsed, Netflix fatigued, Shop disappeared, as ever tanked. Each failure shrinks their credibility. Each new project bulldozes another piece of the Sussex brand. And here's the ultimate irony. Meghan once promised to build compassion, build empowerment, build bridges. Instead, all she's built is wreckage, a bitter husband, failed projects, and a public that's tuned out. Lady C's words weren't just sharp, they were prophetic. Meghan Markle may bulldoze herself straight into irrelevance. Meghan's critics don't even have to invent scandals anymore. The wreckage of her own choices tells the whole story. By dismissing critics as secret fans, by storming forward instead of reflecting, she's bulldozed her own credibility. And who's left standing in the ruins with her? Harry, silent, diminished, stripped of the identity he once carried with pride. The Sussex brand, once marketed as glamorous and global, now looks broken, flimsy, and unsalvageable. Lady Colin Campbell's bulldozer label wasn't cruel, it was brutally accurate. Meghan Markle bulldozes everything in her path, and unless she changes course, her legacy won't be that of a duchess, a humanitarian, or even an influencer. It'll be the legacy of a woman who destroyed everything: her husband's reputation, her own projects, and the royal ties she once clung to for relevance. Because let's face it, Lady C's words struck like thunder. They weren't just a jab, they summed up Meghan's entire career arc. She flattens Harry's dignity, crushes her own ventures, and smashes through royal traditions, leaving rubble where there should have been bridges. But now, the real question hangs in the air. Is Lady C absolutely right? Is Meghan Markle the bulldozer who leaves wreckage behind wherever she goes? Or is this just another round of critics being too harsh, never giving her a fair shot? And what about Harry? Has Meghan bulldozed his identity into dust, leaving him as nothing more than a faint shadow of the soldier prince he once was? Or, just maybe, does he still have a chance to dig himself out from under the debris? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Meghan can rage all she wants. She can spin her critics into secret fans, but history won't be written by her PR team. It's written by the public, by you. And right now, that verdict isn't looking good. The tragic irony of Meghan's story is that she once vowed to be a builder. She promised to build compassion, to build empowerment, to build connections. Instead, she bulldozed the very roads that could have carried her to greatness. Family bonds, public goodwill, even Harry's dignity, all flattened. And every time Harry stays silent, the perception only worsens. Every flop, every biting comment from critics, every jab from commentators lands on him too. Meghan may be behind the bulldozer, but Harry stands right there in the rubble. And if he won't step out, the world will decide he's part of it. Think about it. Meghan wanted to be remembered as a global humanitarian, a modern duchess, even a powerhouse brand builder. But what's her image now? Failed projects, broken family ties, a husband stripped of pride, and above all else, a woman who doesn't know how to build, only how to bulldoze. And unless she changes course fast, that's the legacy she'll be stuck with. Not glamorous, glamorous, not empowering, just destructive. Because in the end, Lady C didn't have to exaggerate. The failures speak louder than Meghan ever could. And here's what makes it even juicier. Meghan doesn't just bulldoze people and projects, she bulldozes perception. Every time a scandal erupts, she twists it into a story of admiration, as though critics are obsessed fans who can't look away. But the reality is harsher. The public isn't fascinated anymore. They're exhausted. Meghan isn't sparking conversation the way she once did. She's become a headline that feels recycled, a drama that people skim past rather than dive into. For someone who thrives on attention, that's the ultimate humiliation. Silence isn't golden for Meghan, it's deadly. Her empire, built on being talked about, depends on constant outrage and headlines. Without it, she fades into the background, just another celebrity whose time has passed. And Harry, he's trapped in the rubble. Once seen as the fun-loving, relatable royal, he now looks like a man who gave up everything only to become a sidekick in Meghan's never-ending saga. The bulldozer didn't just flatten his public image, it crushed his individuality. And unless he finds the courage to step out from behind Meghan's shadow, history will remember him not as Diana's son, but as the prince who got bulldozed.